You ever notice how some patterns in the world just stick around? Well, today we're jumping into a real economic detective story. It's a puzzle that's been hiding in plain sight for over 100 years, right there in our paychecks and profits.
So let's get right to it. Here's the central mystery. No matter how much our world changes, no matter how much tech we invent, why does the big economic pie almost always get sliced the exact same way? It's a shockingly consistent rule, and we're about to piece together the clues to figure out why.
And this is the rule. For decades, it doesn't matter if you're looking at different countries or different times, this incredibly stable pattern shows up. About 70% of all the money a country makes, the whole pie, goes to workers as wages. The other 30%, that goes to capital, the people who own the buildings, the land, the machines. You'd think the internet or automation or global trade would have shaken this up, but this 70-30 split has been remarkably stubborn. The big question is why?
Okay, to crack a huge puzzle like this, we've got to start small. So, our very first clue is all about understanding the value of just one single person's work. Sounds pretty basic, right? But trust me, this is the bedrock of the entire mystery. So, imagine a single farm field. One worker, by themselves, can produce 100 kilograms of crops. Easy. Now you add a second worker. Together, they get 180 kilos. Now hold on. Notice that? The second worker didn't add another 100 kilos, they only added 80. Bring in a third, and they only add 30 more. This extra bit of output from each new person, that's what economists call the marginal product. And as you can see, it drops with every new hire. What we just witnessed there is one of the fundamental laws of economics, diminishing marginal returns. All it really means is that if you keep adding more of one thing, like workers, but keep everything else the same, like the size of the field, each new addition is going to contribute less and less. You know, it's kind of like having way too many cooks in one kitchen. Okay, so we've got our first clue. The more workers you add, the less each additional worker produces. But how in the world does that connect to our big 70-30 mystery? Well, it turns out this whole idea of marginal product is the crucial link to how people actually get paid.
And here's where it all clicks. In a competitive market, a business is going to keep hiring people as long as the value that new person brings in is more than what they're getting paid. They stop right at the point where the wage for that last worker equals the value they produce. And guess what? The exact same logic works for capital. A company will keep renting more machines until the output from that very last machine equals the cost of renting it. Simply put, your pay is tied directly to what you contribute.
So with these clues in hand, diminishing returns and pay equaling marginal product, economists back in the 50s and 60s felt like they were really onto something. They thought they were on the verge of cracking the entire case, and they believed they could boil this whole dynamic down into one single, powerful formula.
And here she is, the Cobb-Douglas production function. Now don't let the symbols and letters intimidate you. This surprisingly elegant equation is the main suspect in our whole mystery. You can think of it like a recipe for the entire economy, showing how we combine our two main ingredients, labor and capital, to create everything.
Let's decode this real quick. Y is just the total economic pie. L and K are our ingredients, all the work people do and all the stuff we use. A is the cool part. That's technology. It's like the secret sauce that lets us make more stuff with the same ingredients. But the real key to our mystery are those two tiny exponents, alpha and beta. They're like little knobs that control how much impact each bit of labor and capital has.
And this, right here, is the big reveal. It turns out, through some pretty clever math, that those exponents, alpha and beta, they weren't just some random numbers in a formula. No, they were the answer we've been looking for all along. Alpha is labor's exact share of the pie, and beta is capital's exact share. The solution to the mystery was hiding in the math the whole time.
But wait, there's a twist. This formula does more than just explain the 70-30 split at a single moment in time. It can also tell us what happens when an economy grows, when we try to scale everything up. Let's take a look. So it all boils down to what you get when you add alpha and beta together. If they add up to exactly 1, you get what's called constant returns to scale. Pretty simple. You double your ingredients, you get exactly double the output. If they add up to more than 1, you get increasing returns. This is where the magic happens. You double your inputs and you get more than double the output. And of course, if they add up to less than 1, you get decreasing returns.
Now, as it turns out, real-world data has shown that our economy acts a lot like that first scenario. So let's just run a quick little example to see what constant returns actually looks like.
So let's imagine we have an economy with 100 units of labor and 100 units of capital. Under constant returns,
Let's just say that produces an output of 100. Right? Simple enough? Okay, now we double everything. 200 units of labor, 200 units of capital. And what do we get? Boom! Our output exactly doubles to 200. The ratios stay the same. It's a predictable, stable world.
But what if the world wasn't so predictable? Let's take a quick peek at an economy with increasing returns to scale, where alpha plus beta is greater than 1. This is where things can get pretty explosive.
So using the exact same 100 units of labor and 100 units of capital, this more dynamic economy produces an output of 251. We're already getting a much bigger bang for our buck.
But just watch what happens when we double the inputs here. We don't get 502, which would just be double. Oh no, we get 577. That's the incredible power of increasing returns. The whole becomes so much greater than the sum of its parts. But for the most part, our real world just doesn't seem to work this way on a massive scale.
All right, let's bring it all home. We started this whole thing with a simple observation on a farm, and we ended up with an equation that describes the entire economy. I think it's time to officially close this case.
So, the reason for that stubborn, century-long 70-30 split is because our economy as a whole has behaved as if it has constant returns to scale. And in that one specific case, where alpha plus beta equals 1, those exponents aren't just abstract numbers, they are the income shares. An alpha of 0.7 for labor and a beta of 0.3 for capital perfectly explains both how we make things and how we slice the pie. The formula solved the mystery.
But I'll leave you with one final thought. Remember that A in the formula, the one for technology? It's always been this quiet background factor. But what happens to labor's 70% when A is no longer just a better tractor or a faster computer, but advanced AI that can start doing our thinking for us? Does that stable 70-30 split finally break? The case might be closed on the past century, but the next chapter is just getting started.